Okay, good morning, friends from the media. I'm Sri Singh. I'm Executive Director of Bersih 2.0. Selamat pagi kepada semua kawan-kawan daripada pihak media. Nama saya Sri Singh. Saya pengarah eksekutif Bersih 2.0. Dan bersama kami pada pagi ini adalah dua orang calon yang telah didisqualified oleh pihak SPR. Di sebelah kiri saya Dr. Sri Ram, calon calon rantau, dan saudara Tian Chua, calon untuk Parlimen Batu. Dan bersama kami juga adalah saudara Syarul Aman, pengurusi pemangku pengurusi Bersih 2.0, dan juga Mandik Singh, pengurus Bersih 2.0. Jadi sidang akhbar pagi ini adalah berkenaan dengan penamaan calon semalam, dan Bersih 2.0 telah memantau proses penamaan calon, dan kami telah mendapati banyak perkara yang menyalahi prinsip free and fair elections, dan kami ingin mengambil kesempatan sidang akhbar ini untuk mengutarakan pandangan Bersih 2.0. Dan saya meminta saudara Syarul Aman untuk membentangkan pandangan kita dan juga kenyataan akhbar.
Terima kasih.
Ya.
Kami dah edarkan statement ini sekarang ke dalam bahasa Inggeris. So nomination day, the disgraceful start for the 14th general elections. The Coalition for Clean and Fair Elections, Bersih 2.0, condemns the manipulation and abuse of power by the Election Commission on the nomination day in several seats that comprise the integrity of the 14th general elections right from the beginning. It is a disgraceful start to the 14th general election where candidates are denied their constitutional rights to be nominated and voters denied their right to choices of candidates arbitrarily and unlawfully by the EC. These are the three cases. There are many cases, but the three main cases among the list of issues on nomination day that Bersih 2.0 finds to be in violation of free and fair elections. Number one, the disqualification of Batu candidate Saudara Tian daripada PKR Pakatan Harapan, whereby the Election Commission has clearly overstepped its boundaries in arbitrarily rejecting Tian Chua's nomination, especially since Tian's candidacy was accepted in the last general election, after the issue of RF 2,000 ringgit penalty had been clarified in Kuala Lumpur High Court judgment in 2010, where the presiding judge Haji Ghazali bin Haji Cha ruled that the RM 2,000 ringgit fine to disqualify a member of parliament in section 41 stroke AE of the Federal Constitution shall be RM 2,000 ringgit and one and above. So it's clear. And this judgment was respected by the Speaker Dewan Parliament, Pandika Amin, Dewan Rakyat Pandika Amin, when he ruled Tian Chua maintained as a member of Parliament. The Election Commission was silenced at that time. On what legal basis and authority that the returning officer of Batu, Anwar Muhammad Zain, could overturn a court judgment? So very serious offence. The arbitrary decision of returning officer and the Election Commission is clearly not in accordance with the law and is done in bad faith. And the absolute power of RO in deciding the acceptance of candidacy must be reviewed. So kita dah ada, we have the keputusan judgment by the hakim, and memang clearly it was discussed by the judge and he made the judgment and clearly said, maka dengan berpegang kepada keputusan dalam kes Mahkamah Agung di atas,
Saya berpuas hati dan berpendapat bahawa denda RM2 tidak menjadikan perayu hilang kelayakan beliau secara automatik, kerana denda untuk menjadikan beliau hilang kelayakan adalah RM2,001 ke atas, dan bukannya bermula daripada RM2. So this is the court judgment. It's very clear. There is this long list of judgment ni. The judge already discussed this. And how can the returning officer go against the court? The second case is denying entry of Rantau candidate Dr. Sri Ram from PKR PH into the nomination center. Amino Agus Suyuk, the returning officer of Rantau, the EC, and the police should not have denied the candidate entry on account that he failed to produce a pass issued by the EC, as the constitutional right to nomination of a citizen should be upheld over any technical formalities. This is especially significant given that the pass is not a requirement by law, but rather an administrative procedure by EC. Bersih 2.0 also finds the insistence for a pass is not necessarily practiced unilaterally, as Kuala Lumpur Baru incumbent Lee King Hyong was able to enter the nomination center despite not possessing a pass. Amino Agus Suyuk, returning officer of Rantau, the EC, and the Inspector General of Police (IGP) must answer for the double standards applied in this case. IGP Muhammad Fuzi Harun denied the role of police in stopping the candidate from entering the nomination center when videos that recorded the incident clearly show that the police played a part in it, and with the IGP's assertion that the police acted to help EC and the returning officer for Rantau, and the EC must now answer on what legal basis that Dr. Sri Ram was barred from entering the nomination center. Maybe if you can show the video or the... Okay. Let me just finish. Okay. So the third case is the lack of transparency and due process in regards to the nomination of Qatari candidate, iaitu Datuk Lau Hoi Kiong from Gerakan Barisan Nasional. Bentong District Officer, returning officer Datuk Azhar Arshad must answer for the lack of transparency and due process in regards to the identity card of BN candidate Datuk Lau Hoi Kiong. Datuk Azhar is accountable not only to the EC but to the people and voters of the country when it comes to transparency and clean elections. Why did he disallow the other party candidates to check the IC of Datuk Lau Hoi Kiong? If it is that the address of the candidate has been changed on the electronic chip, this can be easily verified by displaying the information to the media and other stakeholders present at the nomination center. Bersih 2.0 would also like to question the role of two officers from the National Registration Department, JPN, on their attendance at the nomination center, as this is highly irregular behavior. These attempts to compromise G14 by denying the right of candidates to contest fairly in the elections is also an assault on democracy and an insult to the right of voters. Their respective returning officers, the EC, the police, and the two officials from the NRB must answer for their role in subverting clean, fair, and free elections for the 40 million voters in Malaysia. The three cases highlight that the nomination process for elections in the country should be thoroughly reformed. The nomination procedures should protect the constitutional rights of the citizens to run in elections, and such important rights shall not be trumped by arbitrary decisions of returning officer or the EC at their whims and fancy on petty technical grounds. Bersih 2.0 calls on all stakeholders, including all political parties, candidates, civil society, and voters, to make a stand for being and facts by reporting incidents on electoral fraud and cheating to aduan.pemantau.org or WhatsApp us at 011-1772-1546 or call us at 017-8725-418 or 017-872-5419. So that's the statement. Maybe we can show you the video of yesterday for Dr. Sidang's nomination.
Volume also connected. Volume also connected.
So we have also some reports, and this is a picture of the, not the returning officer, but the pegawai SPR yang datang untuk bercakap dengan Dr. Sidang. I think Dr. Sidang can ni. And this person yang datang halang Dr. Sidang daripada datang untuk pusat penamaan calon tu. There have been so many reports that this person is actually a very staunch UMNO supporter, Hafizan Idris, and also the supporter for a very strong person for the MB lah, picture dia dengan MB. So what has happened is very suddenly he has removed his Facebook page. Ini gambar-gambar yang ditangkap oleh netizen. Tapi sekarang ni the impartiality of the SPR and their officers during penamaan calon pun is questionable with this kind of orang-orang yang berkepentingan yang juga boleh dilihat sebagai cuba untuk menghalang daripada proses penamaan calon Dr. Siram. So dia dalam pernyataan media kita ada detail dalam table ini, tapi mungkin kita jemput pada mereka lah untuk menambah pada detail pada kes-kes masing-masing.
Saya minta mungkin saudara Tian dulu untuk memberi akaun insiden yang berlaku di Batu.
Saya agak sejak semalam saya sudah memberi Bersih keterangan saya dalam proses penamaan calon itu. Saya agak jelas tidak wujud isu kelayakan saya dipetikan, sama ada dalam parti atau di luar. Semua sedia maklum saya telah berjaya mempertahankan kursi saya dalam pilihan raya yang lalu dan serve full term sebagai ahli parlimen dan tidak pernah pertikaikan kedudukan saya. Apa yang berlaku semalam jelas the returning officer, pegawai pilihan raya mempunyai niat yang premeditated atau malafide, kerana beliau sudah tentu telah mendapat maklumat tentang kes Mahkamah Shah Alam yang dia merujukkan itu sebelum hari penamaan calon. Jadi itu juga dilakukan dengan cara melengahkan proses sehingga penamaan calon ditutup. Tidak pernah saya dimaklum bahawa kertas cadangan calon saya ada masalah. So sehingga hujung, saya agak banyak tempat lain sudah isytiharkan calon, Batu belum isytihar lagi. Hampir pukul 11 baru dikatakan kertas cadangan saya telah ditolak. Jadi saya agak ini satu tindakan yang sengaja menafikan bukan saja hak saya bertanding, bukan saja menafikan seorang calon dari Pakatan Harapan, tetapi sengaja telah menindas hak pengundi-pengundi Batu untuk memilih parti pilihan mereka. This is the denial of Batu's voters the right to choose the party or the candidates of their choice, and tantamount to trying to declare Barisan Nasional winning without contest. So that is that effectively what the returning officer was trying to do. Saya tidak ada apa-apa yang nak tambah selain daripada ini taktik ini harus dikutuk sekeras-kerasnya, dan ini juga tidak bermaksud kita terima hakikat bahawa kita kalah satu kerusi. Belum lagi, dan kita masih akan mengambil apa-apa langkah pun yang diperlukan untuk memastikan pilihan raya di Batu itu dikembalikan dengan secara tertib dan juga mematuhi semangat kebebasan dan ketelusan dalam pilihan raya. So itu baik dari saya. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Saudara Tian. Sekarang saya bagi kepada Dr. Sri Ram untuk memberi penjelasan tentang insiden kemarin di Rantau.
Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera. Saya Dr. Sri Ram, saya seorang pakar bius. I'm a consultant anesthetics in Nilai Medical Center, and I was asked by Parti Keadilan Rakyat as a Pakatan Harapan candidate to be Dun Rantau. I'd like to explain it in English so that everybody is clear, because so many versions is going around. I have legitimately got a Vatika from the president of the party, which is this, on the 24th of April to be a candidate in the coming election. After that, on the 25th, I went to pay my deposit of 5,000 as the candidate deposit, current deposit. And also untuk bahan campaign, 3,000 deposit, so the total of 8,000 ringgit was paid on the 25th of April. All my nomination papers were complete and intact. and then the Borang Sumpah Kerahasiaan was signed by the Borang Sumpah Kerahasiaan was signed by the SPR officer in Seremban. I also had the Commissioner oath signature. And official nomination papers, all were intact. The proposer and the seconder, as well as myself, all signed. And also all the searches, bankruptcy searches, identity card of all the calon as well as the penyokong and Sidang was obtained to be submitted for the nomination. On 28th of April at 8 a.m. I was at the nomination center. I proceeded to ask them for the entry pass, which I couldn't obtain, and they said it is available at the district office. So I told the police officers, let me in to go and get the entry pass so that I can do the entry. Well, the 4 candidates from Pakatan Harapan, which is parliament candidate of Rambau, as well as Paroi and Kota and Jumbo, we walked towards the gate, and others were allowed to enter because they had passes, while I was denied entry by the police, telling me that they are waiting for the pass to be given to me. So we waited from 9 to 9:30. The police didn't allow me to enter. In the meantime, we contacted the person inside, one of the Chalun's seconder, Yusuf Taba, who came in and took my nomination form into the nomination center. Well, at 9:42, 2 SPR officers, one lady and one doctor, Inche Hafiz, came out, and I explained and showed them, and told them that I'm the candidate and send the nomination papers into the center to file my nomination. But I was still denied entry. And they told me within 2 minutes they will come and get back to me, and I'll be able to file my nomination. But they didn't turn up until 10:30. In the meantime, a candidate from Amana, Haji Taufik, came out with the nomination papers, and he showed it to, and gave me some passes of his to be given to the, so that I could do it. But still the police. So as the time was proceeding, I was telling the police that I have to go to file my nomination paper, but I was arrested, and put down by the 20 policemen, denying me entry even into the nomination center. And as we were known that our candidates were discussing with the EC inside, election commission, but they never gave us an approval. We have seen in Taratai, that is Pandan constituency, a candidate was allowed into the thing given without a pass to file a nomination paper in Gemas as well as in other places. I strongly believe this was on the other hand technique by the EC to deny a legitimate Malaysian to enter a center to file a nomination. Irrespective of that, we have seen certain contexts in the law that any candidate who comes in without a pass, the police officer should refer to the election commission officers, and immediately, and the election commission should escort the person into the center to file their nomination. And this is gross injustice to me because it is a victory they thought they can win without being contested. It is an underhand tactic by the Barisan National Government as well as the Election Commission and the police in hand to deny a rightful democratic way of election. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sri Ram. And I just want to underscore, the points that have been raised regarding the process of nomination in any country. For nomination of candidates, it should be just an administrative process, a procedure, and it should be, designed in a way to encourage citizens, to offer themselves to be candidates. And the procedures should guarantee the right of the citizens to be candidates. But in our country, this is the other way around. Yeah, the process, it is being made so difficult, so challenging for all candidates from all parties to make sure that their candidacy will be accepted by the returning officer and the election commission. And as we have seen, the time limit of 1 hour. I don't know why suddenly SPR changed it to 1 hour. Previously it was 2 hours. If you have any problems, you still have time to rectify that. And all these small technicalities should not be a reason, should not be a ground to deny the important rights of citizens to be candidates in the elections. Yeah? And from the accounts of Tian and Dr. Sri Ram, it is very clear there is a bad faith on the part of the election commission that the qualification of Tian was only informed after the closing of nomination time. Why the RO didn't inform him that he has a qualification problem, so that they can offer an alternative candidate, yeah, to be the candidate for part 2. But by only telling the candidates after the closing of a nomination, this is really with bad faith that you have no more alternative, yeah, alternative way to fill another candidate. And the same thing is that there is really no reason for him to be barred from going into the nomination center. And he has all the documents as he has shown. And if the police or the EC have any question, they can just look through the documents and allow him, or even issue a tag if it is really necessary on the spot. So there is really no question, no issues of why he should be denied. But from the conduct of the RO and the election commissions, it is clearly this is abuse of power and acted in bad faith. And the whole nomination process and the power of RO to decide whether the candidacy of a candidate would be accepted, the power vested in the RO is too much, and they have exercised this power without accountability and without transparency. And Bersih condemned and call for a total reform of this nomination process.
Saya nak respon sedikit tentang kenyataan EC pada semalam di FMT bertajuk Tian Chua down but not out yet, says EC, iaitu meminta saudara Tian Chua untuk memfailkan election petition. Saya nak beritahu kepada pengerusi SPR, election petition hanya boleh difailkan 21 hari selepas keputusan pilihan raya digazetkan. Jadi adalah tidak masuk akal minta saudara Tian Chua untuk memfailkan satu election petition. Sekarang ini SPR menafikan hak pengundi di kawasan Batu untuk memilih calon yang mereka mahukan ataupun parti yang bertanding di sana. Soalan tidak masuk akal sama sekali. Yang kedua, SPR dalam kenyataan tersebut juga SPR mengatakan bahawa mereka akan akur kepada keputusan mahkamah. Ya, apa saja keputusan election petition nanti yang difailkan oleh saudara Tian Chua. SPR sedang memberi dua mesej yang berbeza. Kata akan akur pada mahkamah. Kenapa tidak akur kepada keputusan mahkamah yang sudah ada? Sudah ada. Adakah SPR mengatakan bahawa returning officer itu punya kuasa yang lebih tinggi daripada mahkamah? Delineation, perseorangan semula, kita ke mahkamah dan SPR minta mahkamah putuskan. Hari ini mahkamah memang dua kes berbeza ya. Mahkamah telah putuskan berkait kes Tian Chua. Speaker Parlimen telah putuskan apakah SPR ataupun returning officer, sebab di sini jelas mengatakan returning officer mempunyai kuasa yang lebih tinggi daripada mahkamah dan speaker, tetapi kemudian minta kita balik ke mahkamah. So which is which? SPR mungkin Tan Sri Hashim dan keseluruh mereka harus baca Perlembagaan Persekutuan 48(1)E, jelas dinamakan di dalam paragraf 42 dalam 43 keputusan Mahkamah Tinggi Shah Alam. So saya rasa SPR kena jelas dalam perkara ini. Jangan kelirukan publik, jangan keluarkan kenyataan-kenyataan yang tidak masuk akal sama sekali.
Okay, terima kasih. Kita buka untuk soalan.
No, I was not given a pass. In fact, I was informed on the 24th by a colleague of mine that we have to get passes at about 5 p.m. on Friday evening. So we happened to go to the Lembau district office at about 6:45, around there, but the office was closed. And they told, and I met a lady there, and she said, no, she will, you can get a pass tomorrow morning. So in that morning when I went in at 8 o'clock and I requested for a pass, they said yes, they are going to get it for me. You see? So, but they never gave it to me. And even at 9:42, when the EC officers came to see me, I thought they were going to escort me to file my nomination. But they said within 2 minutes they will come back to me with a pass, but they never came until the nomination was closed. And their reason is that, they just was waiting for the nomination to close, and I only knew about the existence of my fate when they announced that the candidate was unopposed.
You went to the Rebel District Office on the 5th?
27th, sorry, 27th.
Friday.
6:45.
Yeah.
At 6:45, were you aware that the district office would have been closed by then? Or?
No, I didn't aware. I was not aware, so I was just taking a chance. Because the message my friend told me was it will close at about 5. But we still took a chance to go there.
Before that, prior to that, were you aware that you were supposed
No.
to be?
In fact, I'm quite surprised. That morning I went to get the EC Pengara to sign my forms. I was not told. And when I paid deposit, when I was announced as a candidate, the very next day, and I was not even told that part exists, the pass exists.
Can I just add on this issue? Every time you have an election, we actually notice that there are different policies for passes. I think the reporter also faced the same thing, right? Sometimes pass, sometimes no pass. Sometimes the pass you get it beforehand. Sometimes they just say, oh, if you have the number accredited form, you can just go in. You don't need to have a pass. So the passes issues was it was purely issues of administration by the police. It has nothing to do with the conduct of election. But so that's why we are quite shocked that issues of entering pass become a hindrance for someone to nominate. Yeah. I faced the same problem when they came and they said only pencadang and then penyokong and calon who have the pass can go in. But then when I asked what happened to my wakil calon and my legal advisor and my legal officer, they said, well, basically you get it after your nominations get accepted, then all my election workers will be given passes. Right, so before you are nominated, we have no way to give passes to people. So that's why I think this is quite a lame excuse that people have no passes, cannot go into the nomination center, especially when you have a kertas pencalonan with you, right? So, so that is why it's something that, and you have a tikam, you have so that's why there's no reason police should block people from entering the place because you have no passes.
Any questions? Any more?
Yes, was the party aware of the situation and maybe anticipate the situation that might face the court case? And was that considered when they discussed your candidacy? Was that ever discussed?
I think we are law-abiding citizens. If the court made the ruling, then it's no longer a consideration. If the court did not make a ruling, that is the issues about whether we interpret 2000 can or 2000 cannot. Normally, we don't fill in as a candidate. You know, we can see in 1999 and in 2004, quite a number of us were not filled, right? Including Izam, including Azmin, including Irene Fernandez. All of them would have a court case, and there was no clear court ruling or judgment that they are qualified for candidacies. But once we have go all the way up to Court of Appeal and High Court, repeatedly making the same ruling that 2,000 ringgit doesn't disqualify a person, then there's no issues about candidacy.
If I can just add a bit on the case of Tian Chua. Tian Chua was a sitting MP. He was not removed. Dia tidak hilang kelayakan sebagai ahli parlimen. Jadi soal sama ada 2000 boleh bertanding tidak, Speaker dan parlimen telah putuskan dia tidak hilang kelayakan. Jadi soalnya tidak berbangkit. Melainkan kalau Tian Chua hilang kelayakan selepas didenda 2000, maka tidak boleh bertanding. He was MP until the last day of parliament on the 5th or 6th of April. So tidak bangkit isu perkara yang kelayakan. Dan kalau tak silap saya, 2013 Tian Chua hadapi perkara yang sama, denda 2000, tapi dibenarkan. You were allowed, right, Tian? 2013 pun denda 2000, dibenarkan bertanding. Dan saya minta rakan-rakan media baca judgement ni ya, dengan jelas mengatakan Tian Chua didenda 2000 supaya tidak ada pilihan raya kecil ataupun tidak hilang kelayakan sebagai seorang ahli parlimen. That is very clear judgment by the High Court of Shah Alam.
Kuala Lumpur High Court. So this judgment, we will send it to the media together with the press statement in soft copy, because it's 18 pages, so we didn't make copies for the media. Any other questions? If no more questions, then we'll
It's a little bit of summative precaution that every candidate and also voter should be very much aware, because to date we have seen so many tricks up the sleeves and arbitrary regulations coming out in the 11th hour, things in the past that were able to suddenly cannot, like this kind of thing. The absolute necessity for a pass being used as judgment to disallow a candidate from going in. So all these technical things we consider as deceitful for the candidate and for the voter. That's why we see that this election is somewhat paints a desperate picture on behalf of certain voters. So in desperado, people will just come out with so many things up their sleeves. So we urge the public as well as the candidates to be on their toes and to work hard and to ensure that democracy is upheld.
Okay, so with that, we close this press conference, and thank you all for coming.